Here is a Patton high velocity air circulator. This is an 18-inch model. I forget what the number is. The tag is kind of worn off, so I can't peep it anymore. I think somebody told me at one point what the number was, so I'll check that and I'll post it into the video box that probably nobody will look at. There's the tag. It's upside down. Let's turn the fan around. Patton Electric Company, New Haven, Indiana. Oil. Oddly enough, there's no oil port for the front, or is it just assembled wrong? Yeah. The motor is assembled wrong. There is an oil port on the front. I'm not sure why I can't get it into the view of the camera, but it is there. There it is. And I've never taken this apart, so either it was assembled wrong from the factory or somebody else has been in there. This is a General Electric motor, and the motor is no joke. This is an extremely heavy duty motor. Look at the thickness of those windings. That's unbelievable. And even you got this heavy duty thing for the cord to pass through when it comes out. Very, very good quality motor. I think it's it's a 4-pole, it looks like. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it looks like a 4-pole motor to me. I want to split that motor open one day to take a look inside, because it's really an exceptionally well made motor. General Electric used to make really good stuff. It's too bad times have changed. Made in USA. Still running in USA all these years later. The shaded pole motor calls for 5 amps, which is an awful lot of power for one fan. This is as it's supposed to be. This is the original switch, the original cord, and there was no information plate on there yet, like it was on the more recent ones. Despite the monstrosity of the motor, it's got a really thin, flimsy, tiny cord. It's almost comical. The cord is the only thing on this fan that's not overbuilt. Very basic, very simple design. They didn't waste any material, but they didn't sacrifice any quality either. It's a very heavy fan. The feet are unfortunately falling apart. I think that was almost the last of that one. The other two are long gone. But if that's the worst that's happening after several decades, there's no complaining to be had. I believe this would be a very late 80s model, perhaps 90s model, somewhere in that range. It's old, but it's not as old as I thought it was when I first got it. I got this at a tag sale. This was going back quite a few years now, because tag sales have gone extinct in this area for whatever reason. And I bought it from an old guy, and he knew what it was, because he made some comment about it being a really good fan. And despite that, it still was real cheap. I don't think I paid more than $10 for this thing. Super cheap. It was pretty nasty when I got it, but it cleaned up really nice. The blades in particular have a great shine to the finish. Really nice blue blades. I know Lamont likes the blue blade fans as well. I've always liked the blue blades on the Pattons. Used to see them around here all the time, and then a lot of them, well, they've pretty much all gone extinct. I can't remember the last time I saw a Patton out in the wild. It's been quite a few years. Unfortunately, I think most of them have failed due to lack of lubrication, especially the more recent ones with the PSC motors. Those motors ran very hot and very high speed, and they just never, hardly ever were oiled by anybody, and so the bearings just went bad. I think the blades weren't really in proper balance on a lot of them either. I have an 1887, and the blade is an absolute atrocity on there. These, I suspect they lasted a bit longer. I think these motors were a little bit more proportionate for these fans. I don't think that they were necessarily any more powerful. They draw more power because they're shaded pole versus capacitor, but I think they're just a little bit better, built motors. Not that the Macmillans weren't good, but I think they were a bit overdriven. This motor is huge, it's cast, the heat dissipates better. Alright, let's get this thing powered up here. We're looking at 120.4 volts. We'll go over to amps. I want to make sure you can peep this during the startup because it's going to draw quite a bit as it gets up to speed. I guess you're not going to be able to see that, are you? The lighting isn't quite right in this studio because you get glares. And now I'm just wasting too much time on this. Oh, that's pretty good. Okay. I'm going to unplug the camera because it's going to go flying, or I will go flying, or something will happen. Let's start this thing up on the high. Oh, that's the low. I guess it starts on low and then goes to high, which I prefer. It's got a little bit of a startup sound, but not too much. It seems like the low is calm and quiet, but once the motor gets up to operation temperature, it's not quite so low anymore. In fact, the speed range on this fan is a little bit, leaves something to be desired. Alright, I'll go right to high this time. 6.5 on startup. 6.5 amps getting that blade up to speed. That's a lot of power for a fan. Oh wow, it's strong. I can't even breathe in front of it. This is probably one of the most powerful fans I own. Well, that is insane. That is so strong. It's in okay balance. It's not perfect. I'd like to try to get it better. But it's not bad. You can see it shaking a little bit. I don't know if you can hear that clanking in the background. That's pole chains hitting against fan chains. Alright, so that's 4.09, 4.10 amps running power. So it's, the motor can actually handle a little bit more than it's driving. 326 kilowatts and a power factor of 0.65, which is a little bit low, but not too bad. I can't believe how much air that moves. And as as you can hear, there's not a huge difference in the speeds. That's another indicator that the motor is a bit oversized. This is 3.5, 3.6 amps, 288 watts, and a power factor of 0.67. And it is still astronomically powerful. I think this is definitely one of the most powerful fans I have. Probably top 5 or even top 3. I haven't used this in a while, so I forgot how impressive it really is. Okay, this is the low. You know, one thing I want to underscore before we continue with the video is how quiet this is. Yes, it's loud, but for the amount of air it's moving, unbelievably quiet. And I think it's because of those round blades. You know, the other blades, like the one on that, the 1887 for instance, that shape is very loud. This is very quiet. I don't think this is all that much louder than like a box, you know, like a cheap box fan, a Lasco 3733 for instance. Except this is moving 3 to 4, 5 times the air. And low, we're getting a draw of 3.4 amps, 270 watts, and a power factor of 0.66. Even on low, it's just moving a tremendous amount of air. Absolutely insane performance. I'll try to make it better someday. Wow, this thing is incredible. Absolutely unbelievable performance. Yeah, bearings are in really good shape still too. Really great fan.